All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our session of office hours. We're glad to have you join us. My name is Kate Tingley and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Infinix. These sessions are meant to be informal and interactive. So if questions come up as we're going along, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A and we'll be sure to get them answered. And we'll also leave some time at the end as well. Today, we're going to discuss automation in AR and denial management, and we're joined by our revenue cycle product manager, Bimal Sahoo. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Before we jump in and start talking specifics around AR and denials, we're hearing the terms AI, machine learning, ML, and automation thrown around a lot right now in healthcare. So Bimal, I was hoping that you could kick us off and just give us a quick 30-second overview of what each term is.
Hi, Kate. Hi, everybody on the call. It's good to be back having this session. Well, to answer your question, first of all, it's a very startling question, right? It's got endless explanations, endless contexts. And AI machine learning or robotic process automation, they're probably the most heavily used terms by businesses and solutions. It's just not in healthcare. I mean, it's probably almost everywhere. So simply put, what is artificial intelligence, right? So it's basically like a machine or a system which has capabilities to simulate and perform tasks that traditionally humans are supposed to be doing with their human intelligence, their discretion, their discernment, and their judgment, right? So that's artificial intelligence. Now, when it comes to machine learning, it's a subset of the artificial intelligence technology, wherein it's an application of AI that allows the machine to automatically learn from past historical data without having to explicitly program the system to learn. So that's machine learning, right? And then when it comes to automation, it's a very broad term. It's about creating different software applications that is built to replace any repeatable or a routine function or a task that is performed by humans. Or maybe in some context, at least reduce the human interactions or interventions in the process that they are dealing with. So that's automation. And there are various subcomponents to it. It's algorithmic automation, rules-based automations, managed bots, robotic automation is what we hear about a lot today. So that's under the gambit of automation.
Great, thanks for covering that, Bimal. So let's jump right in. What role can AI, ML, and automation play in AR and denials? Everyone's trying to tackle both of these huge challenges that for most groups tends to keep just getting worse and worse every year. So how can it help?
Yeah, so to answer that question, I think we just need to set some context, right? So what has happened in the last 4-5 years? We've seen, denials, growing, and people are getting more and more denials. Providers are getting more and more denials. They're also seeing their inventory kind of build up. There's a lot of aging AR in their inventory. And then at the same time, what they're seeing is there are also write-offs happening, right? So that kind of is challenging for the AR and denial management teams within the revenue cycle function, because they got to deal with a whole lot of things, and all of these things are so dynamic and changing. So unless until you're on top of your game, you're going to lose dollars, right? So the first use case that comes to AR and denial management is to be able to understand your reimbursements better. Where are you seeing denials? What patterns, what trends are you seeing? Where exactly are your hotspots? So what combination of payers or CPTs or your denial reason code, CAS codes are you seeing, right? So So one is to be able to gather insights around what your patterns in terms of denials or revenue bottlenecks are. So that's case number one. Uh, I think the second important use case, at least from the AI and machine learning perspective, not from the automation at least, is about how do you identify what's the probability of the claim that you've built out? Is it going to be denied or not denied, right? So that way you're kind of prepared that for certain sections or certain categories of claim, you're going to anticipate intermediary denial or a hard denial, and how do you arrange your or kind of arrange your staff to kind of deal with that volume that's going to come in the future. So that's case number two. And the third use case that probably comes to my mind is how do you predict if what is recoverable from your inventory? So at any given point in time, you'd see millions and millions dollars of outstanding, but are all of them truly recoverable? Have they been paid in the past? Do you have any statistics or science to kind of defend that? So that gives you use case to build predictability in your reimbursements, right? How can you identify which of these claims are going to get paid and what are recoverable? So that essentially is a big advantage for your recovery teams to focus on the ones that are actually collectible rather than going after the ones that are probably not going to generate any money and have not historically ever been paid, right? So that's mostly from the insights and AI machine learning perspective, but then it also extends into automation, right? So what are the functions or what are the steps that you do generally in your AR and recovery process that can be automated? So it's more about thinking those different activities and tasks, and then figure out what can be automated. So a very pronounced use cases are about automating your appeals. So if you've got a denial and you got to appeal it, there are very standard formats in which the payers would require an appeal to be done. So definitely automation can help in here, where they can assist the agents to draft that appeal letter with a click of a button, maybe very minimal changes around the specifics of the claim that needs to go into that particular appeal. And that can be really sent or e-faxed or maybe submitted onto a portal. So these are some of these use cases that definitely bring in additional productivity and makes the team work through their AR and denials faster. So I touched upon the appeal letters, but then another use case is also about statusing your claims, right? So in many of the cases, you'd see there is a whole lot of AR that is sitting out there without having a adjudication status, rather, I would say, from the peers. And typically most of this in most of these scenarios, you would have to go into the portal or you would have to go into some of the clearing houses to get a status on that claim, right? So can we build like an intelligent process around which before the agents are working on that claim or touching that claim, the system automatically does a claim status check, be it through a portal, be it through a robotic process automation, managed bots, that go into the specific portals and bring in the detailed information around the claim status, not just that it's rejected or partially paid or it's paid. We don't require that. Like for teams to be effective, they really need to know what is that denial code or what is that exact rejection status, why something has not gotten paid. And some of these information lie actually in most of the portals rather than through an API integration over clearing house. So that's another use case that we can think about. And then be it in the denial management or in the appeal process or in the AR recovery process, if you have to resubmit a claim or if you have to refile a claim, so then that should be pretty easy in terms of with a click of a button, an instruction goes into your billing system, and it's configured the right way that it transfers over to the secondary or the next payer that you have in line, and the claim goes out of the door without a human having to go through the entire process of creating a new claim, right? There are other use cases that are there, which is about submitting your medical records in case of medical necessity denials, or other scenarios wherein you have to provide additional information about the claim from the provider, or sometimes from the patient. So these attachments and these submissions could also be automated for certain specific portals that they allow. I think I covered most of the use cases. I think there are more use cases around posting of ERAs, about how do you kind of automatically retrieve the ERAs from the peer portals or the clearinghouses, and kind of ingest that into your system. There are other scenarios which can be automated. But these are some of the most important things and very value-added things that I think the organizations should look into, that will definitely help them first, fast track their cash flows, and second is help them boost the productivity of their agents so that they can go through the inventory faster.
Great. So I think one of the concerns, misconceptions that comes up a lot when we start talking about AI, ML, automation is this going to replace humans? Is this going to replace my AR team? Can you touch a little bit on that for us?
Well, the short answer is no. I mean, really not, right? I mean, there's so many complex decisions that have to be taken, and it just comes from experience. It comes from very specific use cases. Can't really mimic all of that a human, literally, right? So more philosophically and also practically, it's just not possible to kind of replace that, because agents really know what, looking at a claim and a denial and a payer, they can make that decision, which supposedly will always be broken in case of RPS, unless and until a lot of feed, lot of data, and a lot of algorithms and programming is done to it. So and it's much more of a headache, right, in some cases, rather than to have them done by agents who can do those critical actions and functionalities in a much better and in a much efficient way, as well as really pushing those dollars coming in, right? So while your AI and machine learning can actually provide some guidance, bringing in consistency, accuracy in performing some of these manual tasks, or routine functions, and some cumbersome tasks, maybe make it a little bit more intelligent to deal with a couple of scenarios. But it's more going to be about assisting humans in the process of AR and denial management, rather than kind of replacing them. I think we are just quite far away from imagining that in revenue cycle management as a business function, which is so complicated and complex, automation can replace humans. I personally think we are a little far away from even imagining that. Well, agents can definitely turn to work on more meaningful tasks, more tasks that require your human intelligence, in kind of determining the right set of actions that needs to be done to resolve that claim or that denial, and let the automation do some of the routine tasks that you may have to do in the process: claim status checks, appeals, or resubmitting the claims, filing your medical documents. Let the automation do that. This is going to help boost the effectiveness, your efficiency, your productivity. It's going to also result in less human error, and also will bring consistency and quality to the revenue cycle teams. That's how I think how humans and automation will kind of coexist and orchestrate the AR and denial management process in the future.
So if I'm doing all of my AR with an AR team and I'm just working out of my practice management system, focused on high dollar claims, timely filing, why should I implement automation, AI, ML? How can it help in that scenario?
Sure. So to answer that question, I'm sure like no teams are there adequately staffed that they can work all the inventory that they have outstanding on every day, right? I mean, it's just not humanly possible. I mean, we're not adequately staffed. We are always short staffed. We always have hundreds and thousands of claims. We have millions of dollars that is outstanding. But my team's capacity is really like working maybe like 1,000 claims a day or like 5,000 claims a day. But that's how limited I am. So at any given point in time, I have 20x or 50x the number of claims that are outstanding, right?
Right.
A typical way in which most revenue cycle management teams work, as you said, would be either attack the claims that have high dollars outstanding, or typically attack the claims that have very near to their timely limits, right? Now, I would not say the flaw, but the limitation to these strategies are that first, not necessarily all high dollar claims are going to be recovered, right? So you may encounter claims that have certain specific kind of denials, belong to certain payers, to certain CPTs that eventually you will not be able to collect. Now, having the AI and machine learning expertise built into your workflows or into your processes earlier tells you what is really collectible and what you should really go after, rather than wasting your time and energy working through all that hundreds of claims out there, hundreds of thousands of claims that are out there. Focus on the ones that are going to be recoverable, right? So that's one use case. And then second is just high dollars or the timely filing limits are not the only criteria in which one should be choosing or prioritizing a claim to work. There are various different other dimensions that is equally important, right? What is your denial on that claim? What is the denial complexity on that claim? Does your claim need to be submitted through, or your appeal needs to be done through a fax, or does it have to be done through a portal, or can it be submitted electronically? So some of these considerations are important, because if you are supposed to mail a claim and you're working it on the last day, that mail is never going to reach the payer before the timely limits are crossed, right?
Right.
So that's one thing about denial complexity and your success in overturning your denial. So that's another dimension to kind of look at. And then there are obviously peer-related guidelines. There are complexities in certain CPTs, which are add-on codes, or they come in second or the third degree of frequency when they get billed out. There are many factors that I think is possible to do through AI and machine learning and automation to automate that entire prioritization or assignment of claims to the teams, rather than revenue cycle managers spending hours, or in fact in some cases days, because the data is huge, to kind of find what is meaningful to work. So automation, I think a lot of times we expect that from day one or day 7, everything is going to be automated. So automation is actually a gradual process, and it requires organization maturity and teams coming together to make things happen. And gradually you're going to see the difference and reap the benefits of it in a gradual phase, and have the right expectations across teams to make this a successful venture. I mean, that's how I would think about implementing automation, be it in AR and denial management or any other business processes in revenue cycle management that you would want to pick up.
That was really helpful. Thanks, Bimal. those are all the questions I've got for you. So I want to take time now to open it up. If you've got questions, go ahead and pop them in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll get those answered. So I'll give everybody a minute or two to get those questions in before we close. All right, I'm not seeing anything come in. So we'll let everybody go ahead and finish up their day. If any questions or thoughts come up after today, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to help, whether it's specific to denials. I know we saw a lot of folks today that had questions around patient access. So feel free to reach out to me. You should have my email address if you've got questions, and I'll either get the answer to you or direct you to the person that can. So thanks, everyone. Stay safe. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Bimal. This was a really, really helpful session. We appreciate all your insight and hope to see everyone back here next week.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate. Thanks all the participants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.